Join us on YouTube and let's get on. Chairman. He also resigned as the Northern Senators Forum chairman and has been suspended for 3 months from the National Assembly. A lot of developments unfolded yesterday. We had Seun Onigbinde, the co-founder of Budget, who fact checks the issue of budgeting in the country, and he came out to say that he saw some of the similarities with what Ningi raised as his concern. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Fact checking and pouring on the numbers within my team. And one of the key things we found out that we were not able to lay hold to the claim by Senator Ningi. A budget of 28.77 trillion was passed into law. We were not able to see in any situation where 3.7 trillion naira, historically, there are items in the budget that do not have a breakdown. So, for example, the statutory transfers like NJC and the NHRC and the NDDC, they don't have statutory breakdown. TED funds, they don't have statutory breakdown. That has been a campaign and advocacy point. But that does not mean that there's a certain level of capital projects by the federal government that is now being appropriated and do not have a breakdown. Let's not forget the entire capital project is around 9 trillion naira that was signed into law. So to say there's a 3.7 trillion naira amount somewhere and that amount does not have a breakdown, and we can't find that in the budget now on analysis. So
all right, that is what he had to say on this issue. Yesterday, another development, there was an allegation of a 500 million naira that was supposed to be shared within the National Assembly. We'll get that in just a moment. But first, let's listen to what Ningi had to say in an interview yesterday. He said that the entire press release from the president was not based on his interview, and the National Assembly tinkered with the 2024 budget.
Time I said I was misquoted, but I said I was misrepresented. That means the entire press release from the presidency was not based on the interview they have had. And I was very clear in that interview. There was no time I said the presidency or the president was implementing 2 budgets. The version here, there was no time I said Bola Tinubu was against the North. There was no time I said I was representing the Northern Senators Forum. The introduction of that program, I said, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi, a PDP member representing Bauchi Central. I'm speaking on myself.
All right, that is what he had to say.
I don't like to use the word padded, because there is no way the National Assembly will pad this budget. Okay. The National Assembly is the owner of the appropriation. So therefore, what they do is to tinker. You tinker with the budget. What the president does is his proposal. As long as the budget is not passed by the National Assembly, it remains a proposal. Right. So the tinkering with the budget is an absolute powers of the National Assembly constitutionally. So there's nothing like budget.
All right, let's check out the interview that caused the problem in the first place.
Ina ganin Bola Ahmed Tinubu bai fahimci wannan kasar din sosai ba, kuma bai fahimci wahalar mulki na kasa irin Najeriya nan ba. Wataƙil ya da nasa tunanin akan me mulki. To amma ba na ganin laifinsa da yawa, saboda zan gaya ma Buhari mun fada kuɗi ana mana binciken budget nan layi bayan layi. Mun ga munanan tabargaza, ba wai kawai aka yi wa arewa ba, tabargaza da aka yi wa Najeriya akan wannan kasafin kuɗi. Ya kamata a ce mun yi zama da shi sanar president mun nuna markaɗan da abubuwan da muka gani. Nufin mu
waɗanda ba za ku yarda da su ba kenan,
waɗanda ba mu yarda da su ba, kuma ba za mu yarda da su ba, kuma ba ma so a ci gaba da ɓadda kuɗi akan wayannan abubuwan, saboda budget da aka yi bayan wanda majalisa ta zo ta yi a fi.
All All right. He's saying that, it's possible that the president wasn't aware of Nigeria's challenges or the complex nature of governance that Nigeria was facing at the moment, maybe because he was campaigning. But 3 months after the budget was presented on the floor of the Senate, he noticed some discrepancies. The document along the line that it's not just the North that was shortchanged, but the entire nation. And they had to sit with the Senate president to point out to him some of the things that they observed in that particular budget. So looking at that particular statement, you have to understand that some of the things that have been said about him is a little bit different from what we've heard. A little bit different from what we've heard. This is the moment that Senator Ningi was walked out of the chamber after suspension.
By an amendment has been offered by distinguished Senator Maidoki and seconded by distinguished Senator Sani Musa that it be suspended for only 3 months from the Senate. Those in support of the suspension for 3 months say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
All right, he was walked out of the National Assembly at that moment.
Distinguished Senator Ningi.
All right, there was an allegation made yesterday of 500 million naira that was shared within the National Assembly. Let's check that out.
We are going forth and back on these issues and coming up with issues of the budget and individual issues concerning what came to our various constituencies. If we want to go into those issues, all of us are culpable. Some senators here, so-called senior senators, got 500 million each. I am a ranking senator, I didn't get. Did I go to the press? Most of you got. And yes, if we want to go into those issues, excuse me, if we want to go into those issues, yes. So I think that Senator Ningi,
I'm seeing about again. I know
Immediately his mic was put off, in that ruckus, but you could see that Senator Jaribe was trying to defend Senator Ningi in that particular conversation, but he ended up talking about a 500 million naira that was shared to some senior senators and how he didn't get his. However, we don't know whether it's because he didn't get his that he decided to bring this up, or he was genuinely fighting a fight for Senator Ningi. We'll get into all of that on the front page review. Trust me, it's going to be really juicy this morning. You want to stick around for the conversation. I've got Rufai standing by to join the conversation. You might not want to miss this. You don't want to miss this at all. Keep it locked right here. I've got to pay some bills. I'll be back in a moment.
As a sharp business owner, you know you need to advertise your business, right? You need the adverts. So, what better platform to advertise than with VOP 96.1 FM? Our rates are friendly, our reach extensive. Take that bold step and advertise that business today. Give us a call on 081 799 29729 or visit our office at number 4 Ogbomosho Street, Romeo's Pizza Building, Area 8, Abuja. See ya!
It's thrilling, controversial, heated, thought-provoking. Catch Rufai Oseni.
Came here to misrepresent the facts today as regards subsidy removal.
Kesire Aqua.
Report was that $9 billion is lost yearly to illegal mining.
And Simeon Sunday.
If you know something of this nature is happening within your community, why didn't you raise an alarm?
On the front page review, weekdays at 7:15 a.m. Now you have a voice.
to you and welcome to the Front Page Review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesire Agua. It's a very, very interesting conversation that we're about to have this morning. We have Mr. El-Rufai on the phone. Good morning to you and welcome on board.
Morning, Gessie. Thanks for having me. Morning.
All right, there was a video, before we get into the crux of the matter, there was a video of a lady singing praises for you yesterday. What was that all about?
Really? I woke up this morning and I think the lady herself had sent the video to me. I didn't even know it. I don't know anything about the video. the lady, introduced herself like I think she's a Kannywood artist. I don't know anything. But whatever, because I don't understand Hausa. Whatever praises I'm humbled. It's an indication that I have to do more, because the only thing about when you do something is the capacity to be able to do more. And I want to constantly speak true to power and ensure that we have a sane country. Just look at like the madness that happened yesterday.
The mess.
And I think Ningi should be given a chance to speak. I know now they've suspended him. He wanted to try to caution. That big document he had, let him release it. Because the budget was padded. And I keep asking, what's padded? Go and check definition of padding in the dictionary. Padding simply says that when you put unnecessary items to be able to make something longer. And those were the things, there were a lot of frivolous, unnecessary things in those budgets as line items. Just to be able to get money out. When does the federal government start, or the budget, you have building of churches, for money for traditional rulers and things like that in the budget. That's not even a state budget. That's a federal budget. So, obviously with that, it shows it was padding. And also the argument, but I think the problem Ningi also had is, once you pitch it along the line of tribe, ethnicity, religion, north and south, you have lost me. And that's why whatever he said,
but Mr. El-Rufai, I watched the Hausa, I heard the clip of the Hausa interview, and in there, the translation was, it wasn't just the northerners that were shortchanged. It wasn't just the north that was shortchanged, it's the entire country. That was exactly what was transcribed.
So that was what he said. Yes. But he was first transcribed as he said north and south. But also, and that's why I don't support what Senator Okwevimam was saying yesterday, that he was about to remove Abba. It's not about removing Abba. It's about empirical facts that projects were padded, projects were duplicated, monies were multiplied. These are the conversations we should have. And let's have this conversation. Let's stop this north and south. Because what Okwevimam did yesterday was very, very wrong. Right? Pit the north against the south and say something. No. It's totally wrong. Let's talk about the party. And don't we all know? And thank God for yesterday. Now we know that some vendors were giving extra 500 million on the constituency project. Why were others not given? And the question I should now ask is, all these constituency projects, are they not corruptly done? Are they not corruptly done? Let's call it spade a spade. Are they not corruptly done? Look at the case of Look at the case of this incident that the ICPC investigated in 2019 as regards corruption in the constituency project. Even as of last year, there was a story that was talking about the fact that some of these lawmakers give this constituency project to their nephews, to their family members. Constituency project is chock for. Did you see somebody, a former lawmaker, that is on constituency project in Lagos that was putting his name on it, like he did the project himself?
Somewhere in the north, some constituency project was for tech, and it was looking like a mama put restaurant kind of arrangement.
Can you imagine? And that's why I tell this. I say, see, governance is the problem. There's no how you can tell me, because I have used my own funds and the help of friends to build a library in my own village. So I know what it costs, and it's equipped with computers and all of that. And it's for my money. I've used my own money to do projects. Well, for my money, so I know how much you can get with XYZ. So when I see the inflated cost and I see what they build in return, look at it. There was one lawmaker from the east that they said they did a project in Aguleri, and he tagged me. And when they put the project, people started lambasting him, and people started comparing the library I built in my village to the so-called ICT center he said he built. This was not government fund. So governance and our budget have always been padded. And that's what they used to get by. But the question is, how long are we going to keep doing this to the suffering people of Nigeria after we say we are cutting the cost of government? And that's why I say we must have an independent assessment of what really transpired. Let Ningi bring reports. Let other consultants bring reports. But this one, they will sweep it under the carpet. What they will do, they will victimize the person that comes out to talk. Is that not how they victimize Jubril? You all remember what happened to Jubril now? When this case started. Probably now you will hear now that Ningi has to run out of the country.
Mr. Rufai,
we can't keep doing this. We can't grow this way as a nation.
Let's look at Akpabio as the head of the National Assembly. He's the number 3 man in Nigeria at the moment. And we know that he had a lot of allegations of misappropriation of funds while he was in service as the governor, as minister and all that. We heard issues about his character, the question his character. Shouldn't that be brought up in this conversation once again? Because you have a situation where one individual is alleging that the budget was padded in one way or the other, or tinkered with, as he said on the news yesterday, right? So if that can be brought to question, the leadership of the National Assembly, wouldn't his conversation or his argument have merit?
I mean, I think it should have merit. Is it not the same Akpabio that promised people prayers in their email addresses? I beg you. Talk another one. Yes, I don't talk finish. Let's be honest. Let's say the truth the way it has to be said. The country is not moving forward because we don't have truthful people. Everybody's eating out of this mess. Everybody's taking out of this cookie jar. But we forget that this so-called money we are amassing, we are not going to take it anywhere. Look at what's happening. Look at the insecurity. Between over the weekend and now, in Kaduna alone, when over 300 people have been kidnapped, plus Sokoto is going to meet 300s or 400s. Those are the ones reported, though. So what kind of country are we building? Now Shegumi is saying negotiate, don't be like Buhari. When they negotiated the train victims, what happened? Didn't they still kill some of them? So we are entrenching banditry now, entrenching banditry. And insecurity has become the order of the day. People are living in fear and penury. We have suppressed people for too long. And this our country is just a country where people are in pain. Nigeria needs leadership. I keep saying that, Gessie. Because it's only leadership that can bring this country out of where this country is beautiful, this country is blessed. But people can't enjoy the blessing because some people are way just too greedy. And it's not only now. We all remember the famous finance ministers in the 60s now. We all remember the level of corruption that went there. We all remember now. So it's not even today it started. In the 50s, 60s, guess one of my favorite pastimes is going to newspaper archives and reading newspaper from the 50s and the 60s. You keep seeing cases of corruption. Cases of corruption. Cases of, nepotism. It's not today it started. But how long are we going to continue this way? Because let me tell you something, it scatters a country. See, Ivory Coast was known to be a very peaceful country until they had their first civil war in the early 2000s. What led to the civil war? Because politician Conor Bedie that died recently wanted to stay on in power, so he brought up a policy of called the Ivoirité. Ivoirité means Ivorians for Ivorians alone. So all the people that were immigrants that became nationalized, they said they were not Ivorian enough. So they said before you can run for president, your father and your mother must be Ivorian citizen. So people like Alassane Ouattara, that his father was from Burkina Faso, because Ivory Coast, when they had the economic boom, a lot of people came from places like Mali and Burkina Faso, and they were mostly domiciled. People like Alassane Ouattara, they disqualified him from running in 1993 after 1995 elections after Houphouët-Boigny died. And this guy too continued with that. Laurent Gbagbo continued with that Ivoirité. In the early 2000s elections, it was that led to the repression, where the people from the northern part of Ivory Coast said, no, we can't accept this, and a fight started and a civil war broke out. So when we start dividing, we don't know that there are implications, and that's why I condemn. I condemn the freshman will say with what Senator Bamidele was saying yesterday, that some people are discounting the Akpabio one. This is the first time in the last 40 years that the South became Senate president. Nobody disturbed the North when they were Senate president. Stop. We're not talking about, we're talking about empirical fact. Was the budget padded or not?
Exactly, Mr. Rufai. At this point, right, still calling the question of the leadership's character, still bringing that into, question at this point, right? If we're seeing the Senator Ningi suspended, shouldn't we have seen a different approach from the Senate President and the entire Senate as well, saying that, okay, these are the allegations that someone has brought forward. This individual, has brought up this particular allegation. Should we not check? Should we not investigate?
God bless you. Yes, whatever you are looking for in your life, you will see it.
Amen.
God bless you. That's what you expect a sensible Senate to do. But their hands already in the picture now. And when Apom Jaribe, Senator Jaribe now said, well, the case of people power millions of people. This is that they off his mic. Why did they off Apom Jaribe's mic? Why? You see, when people like
hello, Mr. Rufai. All right, I'll try to reach back. But this issue is one that is really, really interesting, because when you see a situation where an individual is bringing forth a problem, you try as much as you can to silence that individual. But is it also possible that a Ningi is trying to do what they are saying that he's trying to do by attacking the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, trying as much as they can to get his position? Well, I don't know if there's any truth to it, but when allegations are brought forth, it should be investigated to ascertain whether or not that particular allegation is real or false. This is what every normal human being does, right? When an allegation is brought forth, you investigate, you check it. Okay, is there any truth to what this person is saying or not? Do you go ahead and just say, no, you are doing wrong, let's shut you off? Do we do that? Because immediately Ningi came out to say what he said. There were a lot of TV interviews, television interviews by different senators talking about a Ningi is lying. You have to question his it's a figment of his imagination. Senator Zam had debunked Ningi's claims, saying that the budget wasn't skewed against the North. Let's listen to what he had to say.
That's not true, because the budget in Nigeria is not done according to regions. There are sectorial allocations: Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agri, and all of that. This contraption of the not being favored by the budget is also a figment of the imagination of Abdul Ningi, because Nigeria is not run on regional basis. We have a federal system of government that consists of local government, states, and the center. So I don't know how he has come with that contraption of the not being favored. That is why some of us who are members of the Northern Senators Forum had to quickly distance ourselves from the kind of politics Abdul Ningi has set out to play.
All right, that was Senator Titus Tatenge Zam talking about this issue of alleged Senate budget padding. When a particular individual comes out to say something, shouldn't that be investigated? Shouldn't there be a little bit of investigation to ascertain as to whether that person has said the truth or not? Well, according to Ningi, now the integrity of the Senate chamber has been totally damaged. Statement made by Akpabio.
In your speech, you tended to deviate from the issues on the floor, and you tended to bundle a lot of issues together. And distinguished colleagues, may I just inform you that distinguished Senator Ningi and distinguished Senator Ismail Akawu requested a meeting with me and Northern Senators that they were going to meet with me and 38 others. And at that meeting, I may have to report to you that even Senator Tambuwa was there, Senator Sani Musa was there, and a lot of other senators, including Senator Bamoro, and many other northern senators were there. And he told me that he had paid a consultant 30 million to unbundle the budget, and he also made some of the allusions here that what was passed by the National Assembly was 25 trillion, but what is being operated by the presidency was 28 trillion. And when he told me that, I said I would like to see the details.
Well, let's see how all this plays out. It's really interesting what's going on in the country at the moment. Just in case you missed it, well, okay, have Mr. El-Rufai joining us.
So sorry, Gessie, I had a network out. Yeah, thank you. Let's see if we can do a couple of minutes more. So as I was saying, pretty much, Gessie, that's it. Nigeria needs a lot of leadership, but we don't get it, and that's what is reflecting in every area of the nation.
All right, so we were talking a little bit about the National Assembly. Let's move on to the issue of banditry. We saw Sheikh Gumi in the news yesterday talking about giving a message to the president not to act like Buhari and negotiate with bandits. I mean, should we not even entertain this as a possibility in this situation, because it's becoming one too many? We have 200 women in Borno State who were abducted as well. It's one too many. Should we even be entertaining this idea?
I mean, the likes of people like Sheikh Gumi saying, oh, let's negotiate, or even having an impute as regards security matters in the country, is a reflection of the general failure and the general malaise in Nigeria as a country. I mean, we've been doing this cycle for over 10 years now, and it's become the order of the day in our country. The question is, in the past that Sheikh Gumi has negotiated with those bandits, has he stopped them from coming to attack again? So, if there's a finality to the problem, I will have said, okay, that's a considerable one. But since it has not stopped them, sorry, you hear some noises now, the fact has to be said that we cannot go on this way. So why can't these security forces go out there and get the job done once and for all and get their own intel? But it just shows that the system is warped across board, and there's a pertinent problem across board with the system.
All right, so what exactly are we going to do? Because we're hearing that in Kaduna, they decided to hire a negotiator to help secure the release of these 287 pupils who were, abducted. What can we do? Because it seems as though it's out of the hands of the police.
But they're also trying to deny that story. In fact, the journalist that released that story has been having a rough time. The truth is, we have to do one way or the other. You see, the state must have the largest amount of monopoly in terms of violence. If the state cannot control the other violence in the country, then the country is as good as in the hands of non-state actors, and that's what is happening now. So I don't know how the government is going to. They have to think through it, find their own intel, find their own intelligence, do what they can to release these people. Because increasingly, what it does is that it erodes the confidence of the people in the security authorities. Pure and simple.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. El-Rufai, for joining us this morning.
All right. Thank you so much, Gessie, for having me. Blessings.
All right, let's go ahead and pay some bills. We will be joined by Larry Oguego in just a moment. I don't know if I keep murdering his name. Apologies. But anyway, I'll do justice to that in just a moment. But let's pay some bills. I'll be back.
We bring you all the big stories and what's behind them. Politics, business, sports, news, all on VOP 96.1 FM. Now you have a voice.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway away?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me. Family Live, a family-friendly program focusing on raising healthy families, dads, moms, and children. Listen to Family Live with the Family Man, Reverend Simon Asemota, Saturdays at 8 a.m. Exclusive to VOP 96.1 FM. Now you have a voice.
After a long week at school, don't you want to wind down and have fun?
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain! Tune in to the Kids Cafe and enjoy story time, spelling bees, and poems, and win amazing prizes. Kids Cafe, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on VOP 96.1 FM. It's the Kids Cafe. Come, let's have fun.
I can't think of a rhyme.
Today's sun is so hot though.
So what are you waiting for? Get the authentic taste of creamy cold berry ice cream. To order online from Gariki, call 090-8831-5907. Guarimpa 090-8831-5909. And Lugbe 090-8845-3416.
Enjoy authentic cold berry ice cream.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at VOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. VOP TV, show up, speak up.
Meet us on YouTube, Insta, and Twitter at Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Thank you for staying with us. This is Frontpage Review right here on VOP 96.1 FM. My name is Gesire Agua. If you're just tuning in, we're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. You can join the conversation on 0700 010 961 961. 0700 010 961 961. That is the number to call to be a part of the conversation this morning. 0700 010 961 961. Well, we saw Senator Ningi suspended over allegations of 3.7 trillion naira padding of the 2024 budget. We saw reactions from different senators within the National Assembly and the Senate President as well, talking about the bringing to question the integrity of the Senate, this particular National Assembly. Well, we saw that play out. We saw what has played out, and hopefully Senator Ningi will bring out a document that he has been referring to, especially as regards this padding of the 2024 budget. Well, yesterday a fire broke out in Wuse Market. Some people have been talking about the fact that there was an altercation with the Nigerian police. Good morning, Mr. Larry, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you so much. So we're just talking about a fire outbreak that started in a market in Wuse, Abuja, in the FCT. The policemen who arrived at the markets barricaded the entrance to prevent people from moving into the markets and all that. But there were allegations that it was the police and an altercation between a policeman and some of these guys. One of these guys who they don't have a shop, but they hang around and call you, "Oh, madam, do you want shoes? Do you want to buy fabric? Let me take you to a shop." So one of those individuals, the police was trying to clear that, and one of those individuals started running away, and then the police shot in the air to prevent him from running, to stop people from running and all that. And before we knew it, there was a gunshot wound to this individual. These are some of the reactions that we're getting from that particular story in Wuse Market, even though a report hasn't been brought forth concerning that particular issue. And then a fire broke out by some of the other individuals who also saw this, and they started that fire, and somehow it gutted some parts of the market, and some cars in the parking lot were also affected. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of this issue of the police shooting sporadically, in a place that is, this chaotic. Is there nothing that can be done to prevent or reduce things like this from happening, especially within the Nigerian police? Can we not see tasers? Can we not see other less lethal equipment being used in things like this?
I think it's sad that we are still talking about shooting into the air. Sometimes they don't just shoot into the air, they shoot at people, which is unfortunate. There is a standard procedure for managing riots, for managing demonstrations. The challenge we have with the Nigerian police is that because of the corruption, which is a challenge across the whole country and across different professions, because of the corruption, there is so much compromise that the standards have been thrown to the dogs. It's unfortunate, but it's true. I've been in a situation where a police officer gave an instruction to his subordinate to return my particulars to me, and the subordinates told him, right there in my presence, "Oga, no be so we dey do this work." And I told the police officer, I said, it's only in the Nigerian police force that a superior of your status will give a subordinate an instruction and he will defy his instruction and be talking nonsense. When I said that, it dawned on the policeman that what that guy did was sacrilege, and he defended on him. So we have lost the capacity to actually not only call the police to order from outside, but they have also lost their internal discipline. I know, because I work with the police closely and consistently, and it's something that we must fix. Because they also lack this training, they lack the capacity to think on their feet. They also are not able to know what they should do and what they shouldn't do per time. They create problems for us. You don't go to a market and behave the same way you behave in a church or in some other place where people are calm. between markets and universities, well, I don't know about the present day university, they seem to be too complacent. But when we were in school, the policemen were extremely careful about managing demonstrations in universities because it was a very volatile environment, just like a market. So I think we need to engage our policemen, get them to understand that shooting into the air to scare people away can do the opposite, because the people may become agitated, bullets may hit the wrong persons, and things can go just haywire. Shooting into the air is not the best way to engage, especially when you are in a market, a school, or places where things can just go haywire and escalate. So I think it's important that we get our policemen trained in managing crisis situations. And we should also train them so that they stop creating crises where there are no crises. Sometimes they create tense situations because they are pursuing their selfish interests, or they are on a paid assignment, in quotes, if you know what I mean. That is, somebody said you do this, and then because they're doing it and they're doing the wrong thing, sometimes they create challenges where there shouldn't be challenges. So I think we need to call on the leadership of the Nigerian police. The Inspector General is there, the commissioner of the city is there. They should do better in terms of insisting that the police should follow the standard operating procedure for using firearms. There is a procedure for using firearms in the Nigerian police, and this shooting into the air indiscriminately has created more problems than solutions. It's sad, but then one thing we must do is to get the police to rethink this idea of people doing what they like and there are no consequences, especially with the Nigerian police. There are little or no consequences when they misbehave, and that is why they always misbehave.
All right. Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the suspension of the Senator Ningi, who represents Bauchi Central Senatorial District in the National Assembly, and he's been suspended for 3 months over budget padding claims of 3.7 trillion naira. First of all, what are we to make of this particular development? Because when someone brings up an allegation of budget padding, is your job as a Senate leadership not to ascertain whether or not this individual is saying the truth or not, to show the public, to show the Nigerian people that this person is either lying or saying the truth? Should we not have seen that reaction as opposed to an outright suspension?
I think they decided to have this conversation in the committee of the whole. That is, the entire house had this deliberation, and of course they tried to look at whether his allegation was true or not. But I don't think the whole conduct of the National Assembly was on the basis of let's find out the truth about this, and then let's be as objective as possible. I think they were upset with Ningi. They were very angry. They were thinking about the fact that he brought the National Assembly into disrepute. They were more interested in disciplining him and punishing him, yes, than in looking at the details. Of course, he also said some things that he couldn't substantiate. If the truth be told, he said we are running 2 different budgets. It's difficult to substantiate that. When some other media house interviewed me on this, I explained that the budget is a document, and it's not just a document, it's a law. It's a bill that is passed and signed into law. So if Senator Ningi actually has information about another budget that we don't know about, this should be documented. There should be some documentary evidence. If there is no document that is printed, there should be some information that suggests that there is a different budget line and funding that we are not aware of that is being used. Of course, he couldn't substantiate that, and to that extent, he was wrong. We could have alleged that there was budget padding without necessarily saying that we are running 2 different budgets. And he said that the budget padding was by the presidency, but the budget padding that happened was actually by the National Assembly. That is the truth. But one thing I must say is that in as much as they descended on Ningi and they were talking about 12 months and eventually settled for 3 months, suspension. Of course, there's still a proviso in the suspension that if he apologizes, they would lift the suspension. I expect that they will find a way to sort this out. But what Senator Ningi did is very useful to the entire polity, because he opened a can of worms. In the course of the conversation, we had things that makes it obvious that we are spending money on men and women to go to Abuja and sit down and practically steal us blind, that is, share our commonwealth. Because they were talking now, that is, they probably forgot that the media was there. Okay, so some people got 500 million, some people got 120, and I got only 2 billion, so it's basically about who gets what. As a matter of fact, some people suspect that the alarm raised by Ningi was because certain persons got the juicy part of the loot, as it were, and some disadvantaged senators, the newbies or people who are not in the good books of their guards, got paltry sums. That is why he also alleged that what was happening was skewed against the law. So you find out that in the final analysis, this whole thing is about actually sharing our money. Who gets what? And these are people who spend so much money on already. You are walking around parading SUVs that cost us an arm and a leg, 160 million. And with all of that tucked under your belt, you are still looking for projects, contracts to execute, street lights, boreholes. How can you be doing street lights and boreholes when you should be concerned about your oversight, about legislation, about more important things? I think we really have to sit down and take another look at this presidential democracy. If we must continue this presidential democracy, we must actually do a surgical operation and change some of these things we take for granted. I personally do not think that we should get men and women who say they are senators and they sit there, and even members of the House of Reps, and they just waste our resources, and sometimes they don't even sit. There was a year that they didn't sit up to the statutory requirement of the law, and they paid themselves. So we need to begin to ask ourselves, who will bear the cat, who will hold these guys down to do the needful? And we may have to, unfortunately, it's a difficult task, but we may have to consider reviewing the constitution to maybe have a unicameral house and make it less juicy and possibly voluntary. Because when I was following the development, I was sad. I was not only sad, I was embarrassed, because this whole thing is not exclusive. The information is not exclusive to Nigerians. The world is watching. We are calling private investors to come to our aid. We are relating with the Committee of Nations, the Global Committee of Nations. And then they are watching this charade. They are looking at us, wash our dirty linens. And these are very dirty linens in public. So Ningi made a mistake. I think he probably didn't see this coming. He thought that he had backing of northern senators. But when this thing exploded, it's obvious that very powerful political forces decided to deal with the matter and call him to order. Because I'm also curious. It doesn't sit well with me that right after this conversation at National Assembly, the principal officers moved straight to report to order. Maybe this is how it panned out. Yes, we have suspended him. That's my opinion. I think the National Assembly should be an independent arm of government that should be able to do their work without undue influence and interference. That is not what is happening here. As a matter of fact, we saw the National Assembly evolve. We saw the politics. We saw how the leadership was selected by the executive. And what is playing out now is that we have a National Assembly that is not just a rubber stamp, but an automated stamp, more or less. It's sad, but Ningi did us a favor. He may have done a lot of rabble-rousing. A lot of people may be angry with him, but in the course of investigating his allegations, we have confirmation that the Senate needs to be cleaned up thoroughly. Cleaned up. It's an organ stable that needs to be cleaned up. They need to put everything in public domain. Everything. This issue of this person is getting this and getting that. Why? They should tell us who gets what and why. If they want to do constituency projects, they have to go back to the old formula where you have a pool for constituency projects and it's done properly. But why should they actually get into contract? Is it their business? Are they the executive? Are they local government chairman? The street light in my village, in my own village, was actually done as a constituency project by a member of the House of Reps, who unfortunately and incidentally is not from my region. So how can you be from another geopolitical zone and you go to another one and install street lights? How does that work? So you find out that they just share contracts for the purpose of patronage. That's the truth of the matter. And it's sad that people who should protect our money, who should be making laws to put corrupt people in jail, or probably even get rid of them altogether like they do in China, they sit down and they spend most of their time not only sharing the money, but also complaining about who got what and who didn't get. One of the things I also don't like is that some of the institutions do not provide budget headings, so they just give them bulk money and we don't know in advance how they will spend this money. It doesn't make sense to me, whatever the nature of institution.
If we talk about cleaning up the National Assembly, is there a way that can be done without the help of the National Assembly? Because they are the lawmakers. So is there a way to clean up the National Assembly without this same crop of individuals who are going to benefit from the dirtiness or the secrecy or the lack of transparency of the National Assembly?
There are two ways to clean up the National Assembly. Most of the time, Nigerians absolve themselves from participating in the political process. So when this kind of statement comes up, we look at the cleanup being done by the people who are dirty. You can't tell a dirty linen to wash itself. What I'm thinking is that if we want democracy to work, the citizens should take more responsibility. So that cleanup should be done by us, not by them. Because let me say this clearly. Some people say, but we don't vote for them. I will say something that I've always observed, and it's simple and true. If we insist as the electorate that bad persons will not represent us, they won't. Why do I say so? Because even when they want to rig elections, they cooperate with the ordinary people. I've not seen a senator or a governor run with the ballot box in the days of running with ballot box. It is ordinary people that run with the ballot box for them. I have not seen a senator fight at a polling unit. It is ordinary people that fight for them. It's ordinary people that compromise with party representatives and they sign the false results. So if we can get to that point where we educate ourselves and we are determined to have good governance rather than have a small money in our pocket that will finish in a few days. If we get to the extent that we educate Nigerians, not educate them on television. You know, it pains me that when the civil society organizations get this money we get from donor agencies, they put fancy adverts on television channels and sometimes elite radio stations. Well, don't worry, I'm not knocking your business. I'm just saying that the Nigerian who votes doesn't actually watch those fancy televisions. The bulk of Nigerians who vote are ordinary Nigerians. They don't have power when you are showing those things on television. So we need to find a way to get them to understand that these men and women who have dominated the political space do not mean well. And we should not allow them to continue to give us money for our votes. In some states, they buy votes for as much as 8,000 naira per vote. And when I did the analysis some time ago, I was telling the people in that state that if you take 8,000 naira per vote, you are selling your 4 years for 2,000 a year. That is, you are selling your destiny for 2,000 a year. If you take 4,000, you are selling at 1,000 a year. Because when the person gives you the person has no moral duty to impress you. He has paid you. The contract is done. So whether he wants to work or not is his personal decision. But if he doesn't pay you, when you donate your piece of power to him, I call our vote our piece of power, because when you come to an election, we all donate our small pieces of power as the electorate. The person most of us decides that he will lead us. The power we gave him will now subsist for 4 years. In other words, we donate our power. You use that power to lead us for 4 years. Then he steps aside. And we are so powerful that, theoretically speaking, we can recall the legislators. But they made that recall process so cumbersome that it's almost impossible. So I think people that should reform the polity, not the politicians themselves. They don't have the moral courage to do that. In fact, when a senator, a member of the House, or any other politician decides to tell us what is really happening, the person gets into a problem. Look at Sheikh Husani. Look at, just check across the board. Anytime someone decides to tell us really this is what is happening here, they will fight the person to a standstill, because it's like a small privileged group that doesn't want anybody to leak their secrets. That's why even when guys who don't have the political culture, people who, for instance, got to the National Assembly by some kind of political accident on the platform of Labour Party, when they come in, they indoctrinate them, they teach them the game. Because these guys went there, blowing hot, and they're like, oh, we are representatives of a movement. Most of those guys didn't win on the back of Labour Party. They won on the back of a movement called Obedient Movement. Everybody thought they were going to at least give the minority a voice. They went there and they adapted. That's the plain truth. They took their SUVs. We're not even hearing them. That's when these contentious issues are being debated. We don't hear, because they've explained to them, this is how we do this business here. If you don't want to do it this way, you better take a walk, or you shut up. We just give you your due and you shut up and go home. God has blessed you. This is your chance. You know, there's a book we read in those days. It's titled, This is Our Chance. And so this is your chance. Make the most of it. You may not get ticket again. This obedience won't last forever. Get all the money you can now while you can. And they have adapted. Sorry, for the guys who are parts of these families that are listening to me, this is what has happened. I expected that there should be a small minority in the National Assembly that should be telling us, no, we oppose this 160 million. Some of them told us that they didn't take their own SUV. I'm not talking of you not taking it. I'm talking of you saying on the floor of the House that this is not fair. At a time Nigerians are reeling under hardship, we are buying a car. We are buying a car for ourselves with this amount. We didn't hear anybody talk, and that for me is very sad. So we can't trust them to change what they are doing or to modify their behavior. It's a culture. It's a mindset. It's set. It's like concrete. They can't fix it, but we can fix it from outside. And even from outside, it's not going to be easy, because many of us, unfortunately, and I will end this particular session on this note, but listen to me, this is very important. The reason it's difficult for us to change them is that many of us secretly aspire to be like them. And that is the sad part in Nigeria. Many people, even those who are doing analysis and criticizing, very few have the moral strength not to do what they're doing. The average Nigerian wants to drive the SUV. He wants to go to the National Assembly. He wants to take money that doesn't belong to him and go to church and testify that God has blessed him. While we call them out, we secretly desire to be like them. That is the problem of the country. When we rise above that level of expectation, where people want to make money without working, we will not tolerate this kind of behavior.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. It's been an extensive conversation on this particular issue. I pray we'll have, more developing stories to help us ascertain as to if the National Assembly is indeed padding up the budget, or Ningi is, telling a tall tale at this point. Hopefully we get to find out in the future.
I also hope, sorry, but I think we need to get to that point where an independent of who gets what, this 120 billion, 2 billion, 5, the kind of money that is flying out. We should think of an independent body, EFCC, ICPC. They should go and check what is exactly happening there. If they are getting this kind of money, how do they spend it? They should follow this money. So let us know if, one, they are getting the money, two, is it legal and legitimate, three, are they using the money properly? Somebody should sit up and go and check, because we can't trust them to tell us the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
All right. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this morning.
It's my pleasure. We can't stop talking about this until there's a visible change that all of us can subscribe to.
All right. Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful day. To you listening, thank you for joining the show this morning. My name is Gesere Agua. Let's do this again tomorrow at 7:15 with Who Said What, and then at 7:30 with the Front Page Review proper. Thank you so much for joining the show. Coming up at 8:30 is the sports bit. Gesere Agua is my name. Good morning.